Today, we're talking about a misdemeanor offense in Arizona called public consumption of alcohol. It's housed in Title IV of the Arizona Revised Statutes. It's 4-244.20, and it's a fairly common offense, particularly around sporting events or events like the Waste Management Open or Barrett-Jackson or spring training baseball games. When people are out, they're outside of the sports arena, they're outside of the venue, and they are still consuming alcohol. It's public consumption of alcohol. And the statute is not very complicated. It's pretty simple. I have it written out here. Let's take a look at what it says. It is unlawful for a person to consume spirituous liquor in a public place, thoroughfare, or gathering. That's really about it. There are some exceptions to this rule, and we'll dive into those. But as you can see, the statute's not very complicated. It basically says if you're drinking alcohol and you're in a public place, a thoroughfare, so like a street, an area where people are passing from one place to another, or you're at a gathering, whatever that means, and you're consuming alcohol, it's unlawful. It's illegal. There are a couple of other exceptions, though. So the actual statute, this paragraph 20 is actually pretty long, but it gives some other exceptions. So if you are drinking alcohol and you're at a public recreation area or you're at a festival and there is a license to actually consume alcohol in that area, that's not illegal. So that's accepted from that rule. Same if you're on private property. So if you're on private property and you're on a walkway and you're kind of surrounding the private property, they're going to give you a little bit of a buffer zone. So if you're on that walkway or on that sidewalk and you're outside somebody's private property and you've got permission to be drinking there, that is not going to be held against you. They're not going to consider that to be unlawful. But if you are walking around Old Town Scottsdale, or if you're walking between venues and you're drinking alcohol and you don't have a special license to do it, and it's a public place or it's a gathering or a thoroughfare, and a police officer sees you, they can cite you for public consumption of alcohol. Like I said, we see this when there are events typically, and people are traveling from the event and they may be going to bars or restaurants or Old Town, or they take a limo and they get out of the limo and they've got a drink in a cup. Police will see that and they'll cite the individual for that. So what are the penalties for this? So this in Arizona is what's called a Class 2 misdemeanor. So I've talked about this at length in other videos, but Arizona, we have 3 different classifications of misdemeanors. So you have civil tickets, which are like traffic tickets. You have major felonies at the top, and then you have misdemeanors in the middle. Within the misdemeanor category, you have 3 different classes. Class 1 is the most serious. Class 3 is the least serious. Class 2 is right in the middle. So you can see this is a Class 2 misdemeanor. Under the law, a Class 2 misdemeanor, the maximum penalty that you can face for this offense is 4 months jail, fines of $750 plus surcharges, and up to 2 years of probation. Typically, when we see people convicted of this, and we don't see them when they hire us convicted of it, but courts will like to impose substance abuse counseling, some follow-up treatment, kind of alcohol classes, so that this individual can be rehabilitated so that they're not consuming alcohol in public again. Now, obviously, if you're watching this video and you've been charged with this, you certainly do not want a conviction, and we would agree with you that there's really oftentimes no reason to be convicted of this particular charge. What we're able to do in many cases is work this down to what's called a diversion program. So a diversion program means you take those classes or you do something in exchange for completing a program or taking some substance abuse classes or going to an adult responsibility class or whatever it is we're able to work out with the prosecutor's office. As long as you successfully take that and complete what's required of you, we ask that the government turn around and dismiss the charges. As long as you haven't gotten in trouble again, maybe 6 months later, we turn around, they tear up the charges, you have nothing that goes on your record. We don't see these cases go to trial very often, but if the government was not willing to give you a diversion program, we would certainly want to take this case to trial. Remember, this is a criminal charge, so the same evidentiary standards apply in this case, even though it may seem pretty minor. It's not really a big deal that you have a glass of beer or a mixed drink or a cup, a styrofoam cup or a see-through cup. Really not that big of a deal. It's not the crime of the century, but it still is a criminal charge. So the same rules apply when it comes to producing evidence, when it comes to actually convicting you in this case as it would a DUI, a domestic violence case, even a homicide case, or an aggravated case, an aggravated DUI or something along those lines. So anything that's a criminal charge, it follows the same rules. And so we would be holding the government to that same standard. Did they test the actual alcohol or the liquor or the liquid that they're claiming is alcohol? Did they test that? Did it actually return a result of having alcohol in there? Did they impound that? Meaning your defense attorney can go test it? Typically not. I mean, typically the police are just taking it, throwing it out, throwing it away, and they will cite you with this charge, and that's it. So we don't have any opportunity to retest it. They didn't preserve any evidence. That gives us a lot of good arguments. So if you're facing a public consumption of alcohol charge or a drinking in public or anything similar to that, they'll call it different things, and consumption in public and different things. But if you've been charged with this and you want to speak with our office about it, give us a call. We only do criminal defense law. We've got a team who only focuses on that area. We deal with these types of issues all the time. We offer free case evaluations. So give us a call. We'll have you come in. We'll sit down. We'll talk about what happened in your particular case. Make sure you have a good strategy moving forward. Thanks for watching.